Good morning. My name is Amanda Rivera. I'm the hearing examiner presiding over today's hearing. The date is August 23rd, 2023, and this is case SEZ 2022-00017. It is a special exception request for consumption on premises in the Tice community. Because it is a quasi-judicial hearing, all evidence and testimony must be taken under oath. So if you intend to speak, if you could please raise your hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you will provide is the truth? Thank you. Do we have any members of the public here today?
No.
All with the applicant? Okay, then I'll dispense with those instructions and we can start with the applicant.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning. For the record, Stacy Ellis Hewitt with Banks Engineering. I've previously been accepted as an expert witness in land use and planning matters, and I'd request to be accepted as such this morning.
Yes, thank you. And this is your presentation? Okay, thank you. So I've pre-labeled applicant's Exhibit A was the 48-hour letter, and then I've got the applicant's Exhibit 1 is the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The applicant and owner of the property is SEZ2022 LLC, and with me this morning we also have Joe Madden as counsel for the applicant, and Sam Marshall is here as well, the engineer for the project. The site is approximately 48.73 acres at the northwest quadrant of Lexington Avenue and Tice Street. Lexington is a county-maintained local, and Tice is a county-maintained major collector roadway. It is within the Fort Myers Planning District and the Tice Community Planning Area, and the request is for a special exception to allow indoor and outdoor consumption on premises, type 4 COP SFS, in conjunction with the Food and Beverage Services Limited within the amenity area. There's several future land use categories on the property, but the special exception is within the suburban future land use category. The property did receive zoning approval by Z14031 and also has development order approval DOS 2014-00091. This is the approved master concept plan, which showed the indoor and outdoor recreation area. And the reason for the request is the consumption on premises was subject to condition 4, which allowed primarily for people staying at the resort, consumption on premises, but if it's within 500 feet of the school, then it would require the special exception, and the consumption on premises is proposed within 310 feet of the school. This is due to the existing lake on the site. In order to have to utilize the lakefront, it is within the 310 feet from the school, and the school board has no objection.
Just for one moment, is the
Sure.
dashed gray line, is that the 500-foot radius?
Yes, it is. And while we're on this, I did notice the plan was 24 by 36. Would you like a full scale
I have
size?
11 by
Okay.
17, and that's sufficient.
Okay, thank you. Now, the driving distance from the school is approximately 1,275 feet, and there's a privacy wall, there's an existing fence on the school site, and a 50-foot drainage easement that all separate the property. Staff does recommend approval with conditions. The applicant, in the 48-hour notice and the attachments to the staff report, we are requesting to be able to convert the 4 COP SFS to an 11C, but not requirement, just the option, because a club license requires it to be in business for 2 years before you can obtain that kind of a license. So that's the reason
The
for.
11C is a club. I'm not familiar
Yes, yes. The SFS is for food and beverage service, and then the 11C is for clubs, which requires that they're in business for 2 years before you can apply for that.
Okay, so it would function the same. It's just a different in the state licensing.
Exactly, exactly. There are hours of operation that the applicant submitted and staff is in agreement to. And I do request to incorporate the staff report and attachments as part of my testimony. The request does meet the findings in the Land Development Code, the Policy 1.1.5, the suburban land use category, as well as the whole project was previously found consistent and remains consistent. And as outlined in the staff report, it is consistent with Policy 5.1.5. And it is, the project is consistent with the Tice Historic Community Plan and Goal 34. The Z14031, there's no changes to the existing approved preservation areas, and the development order also has those preservation areas. And it will be compatible with existing and planned uses. Again, the school board has no objection, and the project was previously found compatible. It will not be injurious to the neighborhood or detrimental to the public interest, and it is gated and fenced, and it will be in compliance with the zoning regulations. This request will bring the consumption on premises into compliance with Condition 4. And that concludes my presentation. If you have any questions.
Can you just go over, I haven't done my site visit out there yet. Is
Sure.
the site's under the active DO, is it gated yet, or am I still able to access it?
There's gates up. You can pull into the, let me see here. You can pull into the entrance, but this is gated. You can see the area, but there are gates, and this entrance is closed off as well with the construction accesses.
Okay. And then what's actually then, so you've got the wall, and then you've got the drainage easement, and then a fence. Are the school facilities right there, or is that like a yard? I'm just having, again, I haven't been out there yet.
Let me see.
If you can briefly
It
describe.
goes right into the school's area. Let me see if I've got,
Would there be no
aerial.
pedestrian access from the school to this site?
No, it's all along Lexington. There is no pedestrian access from the school to the site either.
Okay. That was the extent of my questions. Does anyone
Okay.
have any questions of the applicant?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dirk Danley, Lee County zoning, been previously been accepted as an expert witness on the Lee County Land Development Code and Lee Plan.
Yes.
Like to do so again today.
Let me say first, I got the staff report as staff exhibit 1, and then the presentation will be staff exhibit 2.
Okay, great. As the applicant stated, they are seeking consumption on premises in association with a amenity area for this RV park. The applicant already stated what the approvals were for this site. It is under development today. Aerial records show that they've got some of the pads under construction. It's probably been more construction since this aerial, but it is reflecting its condition of being under construction. This does give you a little bit, your question about the separation. There is still additional separation to the school itself. In the staff report, staff provided an email interaction with the school board. They're still noting it as more than 500 feet away. They're just measuring it differently. This is a location of the amenity area. This is a zoomed in area of what's going to be there. I believe this is going to be bocce ball courts in this
There's
area.
pickleball.
Pickleball, not bocce
Yep.
ball, pickleball.
Both of them.
Both, yeah. Pool and additional rec area, all of these area encompassed in red is contemplated for consumption on premises moving forward. I did want to clarify while we're here, the 11C license is a club license. Typically you see it with Moose Lodge or Elks Lodge, that type of thing where they have this alcohol consumption associated with it. Generally, the 4COP SFS is really contemplated for a restaurant. In this situation with the limited food and beverage service, they will still have to comply with the 50% sales rule of 4COP SFS. Once they go to an 11C, they do not have that limitation. So.
But it would still be limited to residents and their guests?
Yes, yeah, right. This is just a highlighted area. This is that 500 feet. It's interesting because the condition from Z1431 provides this 500-foot separation, but almost the entire amenity area is within the 500 feet. So it kind of didn't speak correctly to each other, and that's why we're here today. But with the inclusion of the no objection from the school board, we really didn't find that there was much to discuss here in terms of compatibility. It is an amenity area associated for a park where folks will come and utilize the amenity area and the consumption on premises. In terms of the decision-making criteria, there's significant overlap with the approved plan development. In terms of these findings already being made. There's no new buildings associated with it. There's no new amenities associated with it. This is just a function of whether or not they can drink alcohol while they're also enjoying those amenities. So we did find them consistent with the goals, objectives of the LEED plan. We did find that the environmental areas are preserved because they already have been because of the PD. Compatibility, this amenity area was contemplated in the PD. We find it still compatible. It's not injurious to the neighborhood, and it is compliance with other zoning regulations. Just to speak briefly, the applicant did say there's a mix of future land use categories. This is suburban where the actual amenity area is. We did find them consistent with that category. And then just speaking briefly to the compatibility, just speaking to the separation of the school, there will be RV parks, a lake, a drive aisle, a buffer area, a fence, a drainage easement. There's a lot of separation between it and the school, which is really the only notable potential incompatibility. There are residences around the property on the south and the west, but there's a significant amount of recreational vehicle park between the amenity area and that, and there's also preserve areas into these large lot subdivisions. So staff still finds that they're consistent with this policy as well. There weren't any specific objectives or policies in the Tice community plan, but we did find them consistent with it overall. And then just speaking to the agreement with the applicant's request to include the 11C language in the 48-hour letter, we are in agreement with that. With that, we're here with any questions you may have.
The only other condition, I think, was just the hours of operation. So both parties agreed to that, 7 to 2 a.m., I believe, for indoor and 8 to 10 for outdoor. That was agreeable. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
That was the extent of my questions. It's a very straightforward case, so I appreciate it. A very thorough presentation by both the parties, so thank you for that. So that is it. The decision, as you know, is final with me. It's very straightforward. Again, I should be able to get to this fairly quickly, so hopefully that doesn't hold anything up on the development side, and I appreciate everyone coming, unless there was any final comments from anybody before we close the record. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone for coming. Please stay well.
Thank you. You too.